This episode is sponsored by Reconnect Regal Theatre in Bathgate, evolving cultural heritage, reconnecting theatre with the local community. Hello and welcome back to Film Pro Productivity and Success, the podcast that helps film professionals and other creative people to live a more focused, effective and happy life. My name is Carter Ferguson and this is episode 90, Making Up a Housebook. Organising is what you do before you do something, so that when you do it, it's not all mixed up. A. Milne, unquote. Last week I talked about the acronym HALT, which stands for Hungry, Angry, Lonely and Tired. And it's all about maintaining balance in our lives. It's available right now if you want to go and check it out. Today's episode is the last in this mini season, and today I'm going to discuss one very simple thing that you can do right now, if you've not already done it, to make your life easier and reduce feelings of anxiety and stress in regard to living our everyday lives. Yes, this podcast is specifically aimed at creative people, no doubt about it, and film professionals, but every one of us will still have real life tasks and responsibilities, which I'm sure you know all too well. If we don't stay on top of them, we'll damage our creative abilities and our work lives and slow down our productivity. Today, I'm going to be talking about making up a housebook. In our working lives, it's fair to say that we all have to handle some fairly complex things to one level or another. I've found myself coordinating, producing and directing some very involved international projects and films on occasion, and any film project that I handle, even in the UK in these roles, is no simple feat to bring to completion. As a fight director, I've spent months coordinating immensely complex battle sequences with community actors that have never held a sword before as well, and as a second unit director, I've had to pick up every single dropped shot from the main unit on a feature film and try to patch them together at the same time as I and my team also shot as second camera and fight director on the main shoot. The complexity of things that we can stay on top of and achieve in our day-to-day work lives is really pretty impressive, but we don't always carry that control and oversight of complex matters into our own home life. Incidentally, I'm very proud of that second unit I did on Outpost, Rise of the Spetsnaz. We shot 20% of the total number of shots on the film, and all of that whilst fulfilling our other roles within production. I don't often talk about my second unit work, but that was a hell of a feat. As I said though, at the same time as we do these incredibly complex things, we also have to ensure that we're on top of our household and family responsibilities. And I'm not really talking about things like doing the dishes, shopping for food, hanging out the washing or ironing the kids' school uniforms, as these things are pretty much immediate. And although time consuming, they are right in front of us and therefore clearly have to be dealt with. They require our immediate attention, but they also aren't usually particularly complex or mentally straining. There's a way to do it better. Find it. Thomas A. Edison, unquote. The household stuff that most of us could deal with better, in my experience at least, and this is my podcast, so that's largely what I have to go on, but the household stuff that we can do better on and make our lives easier with is things like insurance, car payments and MOTs, mortgages, rental charges, bank accounts, maybe taxes, and general household bills like internet charges, phone contracts, gas and electricity. These generally come around in a cycle, and it's easier nowadays to leave these things running, but sometimes easy isn't going to be the best way to do things. Although I've always felt on top of this sort of stuff, I've never actually been on top of it. I start to think about these sort of things at some point in the year, just as their deadlines are coming up. That's if I remember them at all. And if I'm busy and something is automated to just cyclically repeat, I'll often just let it run over without even checking it. I can't count the number of times when a car's MOT is nearly up by the time that I am dealing with it, in all honesty, and more than one time I've missed that date. Carelessness does more harm than a want of knowledge. Benjamin Franklin, unquote. I think it's fair to say that what is out of sight is out of mind. So when these things we have automatically renew, they are all too easy to ignore and allow to roll on while we are caught up in something more important or more creative in our mind's eye anyway. Taking a look at an insurance renewal of mine recently, however, I realised that I was just about to get scammed because of my inattentiveness. The cost of renewal for my boiler insurance had been hiked by £7 from 14 to 21 a month in the new contract, which had come through via email, and I just happened to click and open. Now, £84 a year extra may not mean much to some of you, but to me, who has had about a 90% drop in income due to the coronavirus outbreak, this was a significant amount, and possibly because I had less work, that is why I noticed this. If I had been busier, I probably wouldn't have. So anyway, this came through, I called them, and I was on the phone, and they gave me a new quote of, instead of the £21 a month they were trying to get out of me, of £15 a month. It was still a hike, but it was a significantly lower one. That wasn't all, however. The following month, I reviewed my bank account quite regularly, as I hadn't actually had that much work, as I'm saying, and I was awaiting a payment for one of the very few gigs that I've been able to pick up in COVID times. And I noticed that Domestic in General, my boiler insurance company, had actually charged me twice. Once for the £21 they wanted to bill me, but which I was able to head off at the pass, and once for the agreed £15. If I hadn't noticed that, then I could easily have lost a significantly larger amount of money. My point in saying this is that it's worth taking a little bit of time out of our days every month so that we can check that mistakes haven't been made on our finances and see if there are better offers on the table for some of these renewed cycles of whatever contracts we've got. I pay 6 different insurances a year. If I was to save £4 a year on each one of them for the sake of a few phone calls, that'd be £504 a year. If you can't control your peanut butter, you can't expect to control your life. Bill Watterson, unquote. So this brings me to the question of what is a house book? Well, that's simply what I call the folder or binder, you might call it, in which I now keep all of the important information relating to the house or matters pertaining to the household as a whole. In that house book, I keep everything that is relevant to the smooth and efficient operation involved in the more mundane aspects of my home life. And it has partitioned sections with poly pockets filled with insurance policies, pet and vet info, bank accounts, council tax details, mortgage information, car information, and also a page on tradesmen. In the tradesmen section, I write down who I've most recently used and if they were reliable or not, as the next time a problem comes around, I can't always recall who was good and who was bad and who was terrible, or just who was a bad communicator is a thing with tradesmen. Some of them just don't communicate with you and you worry. Or who didn't turn up. I had someone last year didn't turn up 2 times. Someone I had a note on about being unreliable. That, in fact, was that person. I thought I'd try again this year as I was short of time and I didn't quite have time to find someone new, basically. So they were full of excuses this year too. So they have now been deleted from that section and a new name is in their place. That guy completed today and he's already sent through the thing that I needed. Everything in the book too is up to date. So if an insurance is renewed, I'll take out the old version of the policy, I'll shred it, and I'll replace it with the most up-to-date one. And the last thing that I do in the house book is to tape a piece of paper on the inside of the front of the binder with the renewal dates of things on there. That means that if I have a bit of a suspicion that something is about to be up, that I can have a quick look at the front of the book and quickly get those dates. But the point of the book generally is that I can go quickly to it and find whatever I'm looking for in the one place, find out exactly when renewal dates or what information I need about a certificate or an insurance claim or a tax or a bank account or whatever. It's all there. Incidentally, just on the bank accounts and stuff, I keep information there, but I also keep my my last will and testament there, which I got done at the start, not quite at the start of this last year, but it was certainly at the start of lockdown. It wasn't specifically because of the pandemic. It had been on my mind for a while because if I die, I want to leave things in good order. So there's life insurance policies, there's other relevant things in there, and there's a specific will and testament in there as well, so that if I'm not there tomorrow, that my friends and relatives that are going to be looking through the house can find everything they need in that one place as well. So a little bit dark, but it's there. Peter Drucker says that efficiency is doing better what is already being done, and taking a few hours out of your day to get your home life and bills in order will pay huge dividends in terms of reduced stress, saved money, reduced errors, and conserved energy. Being in control of these all too easy to ignore real life matters will enable you to be more confident, more focused, and more relaxed as you work as well. Now, your call to action today is just to do exactly what I suggest here if you've not done it already. I think some of you are probably well on top of this stuff, but not everyone will be. Grab a binder, some dividers for it. This is all cheap, stationery. It gives you an excuse to go and look at stationery. I like stationery, but grab a binder, some dividers, and some polythene pockets, and start to put together all of your household-related paperwork in one place. And take a few days to do it. Make the calls you need to make. Note down the dates that are important at the front of your folder. Throw out the out-of-date information that you've got. I had years of old mortgage information and stuff that I really didn't need, so I've dumped all of that when I was creating the book. And collect as well the names, remember, of those tradesmen and women that you've used recently, and put them all in their place in that folder. As you complete this book, you may also want to transfer the dates that are on the inside cover of your book to your electronic diary. I use Google myself, and that works quite well for me, but whatever system you use, but mark them down when you're writing them in there as annual, so that each month you get a little warning that they're coming. I would also put a separate 1 month warning into your electronic diary if you're using one, so that you know that a deadline is coming up, and it just gets your brain to start thinking about it. Doesn't have to be electronic, of course, it can be a physical diary. But further to that, as new policies or information comes in, as I said a minute ago, just remember to remove the old stuff from the book and put in the newer info into the polythene pockets to keep it current and up to date. It's not rocket science, this, and it does involve you using some paper and a printer, which is arguably not so good for the planet, and a bit of a drag if you haven't got access to a printer. But the benefits of having a physical copy of everything relevant to your real life and your expenses, etc., is immeasurable and well worth the effort. Because see, when it comes down to things like making a phone call, if you've got a physical copy of it in front of you, not only can you read the phone number you've got to call and reel off, the reference numbers they need over the phone, you can also put notes, physical notes, down onto that piece of paper. And that's why I recommend doing it this way. And it's hard to explain the satisfaction that all this is going to give you, and the confidence that you will feel about things that were just rattling about in your brain before, and the control it will give you over your life. This that I'm talking about here, this whole episode really is your call to action. Make time for it in your schedule. Start gathering your information together. Get it done. My message is simple this series: take control of your life. The housebook idea here is an easy way to achieve a large degree of control over things for an extremely small amount of effort. I'm sure that some of you, again, are already on top of it and have your own system. This system is mine. I hope it gives you some ideas and makes life just a little bit easier and happier for you. I want to quickly as well thank all of the sponsors for this mini season. I put a word out on social media, and really within about a day I had all of the sponsors for the season, and that money that comes in makes a huge difference because it pays for all these little ongoing costs. Things like I had to pay the domain name for 2 years. It was something like £40. These little costs when you're podcasting come in all the time, and it just ensures that the show and its legacy keeps on going a little bit further. And today's episode was sponsored by a theatre, which is fantastic because that is my background. I love the theatre. I do worry about it in these COVID days, and I hope it's going to survive it. But Bathgate's Reconnect Regal Theatre sponsored today's show, and when it first opened in 1938, it was actually known as the Regal Cinema, with generations of patrons making it the heart and soul of the town. But 83 years later, Reconnect aim to restore much of the original integrity of the building and its Art Deco style. It's known by folk these days as the Regal Theatre, but Reconnect SEIO are looking forward to making this historic building and theatre the heart and soul of the town once again. And I do admit I asked for a bit of blurb on this because it was quite interesting to me. And there's also, I was sent a link to a Daily Record article, which I'm going to put in if you want to find out a little bit more about this. But I asked for the link from Artos Digital, that's Christopher and Electra McPhillips who run it, and it's an award-winning social media first marketing communications company providing consultancy in social media management, copywriting and vlogging. They didn't pay for this as an advert, by the way. I'm just chucking it in there because Chris is totally awesome. They got a Prestige Award for Social Media Agency 2021 to 2022, and I'll also put a link to their website, artosdigital.co.uk, in there as well. I just had to give a little back there. Chris gives a lot of positivity out, and I didn't see any harm in talking a little bit more about it there. But anyway, back to the show. As I say, this is the last episode in this mini-series, and although I might still release the occasional episode this year, I don't plan to do another batch like this for some time. I'm taking the year out to get on top of a number of other creative things, and the podcast is just too involved for me to give up a lot of time to it. This 7 episodes probably has taken me in the region of 9 days to get all done. That's 9 very full days, which is fine when I'm not working on other things, but when I'm not working on other things and I've not got money coming in, that becomes a bit of a problem. Please check out the other shows that are hosted as part of the Indie Film Hustle podcast network, which this show is a part of, and I'm really pleased that Alex Ferrari asked me to come on board with that one. It's a really, really big honour for that to happen for the show. And there are some fantastic podcasts on there. I really can't recommend them enough. If you go to the show notes for this, I'll definitely put in a link to where you can find them all. But just go out there and Google Indie Film Hustle Podcast Network and you'll find out pretty quickly. Please also, please continue to spread the word about this show, as word of mouth really matters, and the better the listener download numbers, the more likely I am to continue in future. I'm not entirely dependent on that sort of thing, but I like to know that the work that I'm doing, the stuff I'm putting out there, is picking up listeners. If you want to get in touch to suggest a topic, you can always send a message through the filmproproductivity.com contact page, or just give me a shout on Twitter at FilmProProdPod or on Facebook at FilmProProductivity. Let me finish today with the words of our old friend, though, Napoleon Hill, who said, "Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Are you satisfied with where you are and the direction it's going? If not, take control of your life and change whatever needs to be changed. You and only you have the power to do this. You can change the world." Now take control of your own destiny. Keep on shooting, and join me next time on Film Pro Productivity and Success. The music that you can hear right now is Adventures by Ehimitsu. You can view the show notes for this episode on the official website, filmproproductivity.com. You can also follow my personal accounts on Twitter and Instagram at fight_director, or follow the show on Twitter at FilmProProdPod or on Facebook at FilmProProductivity. Please, folks, do continue to support the show by subscribing, spreading the word about it, and leaving an awesome review. I've had some great reviews recently. I really, really appreciate those that have put some time into doing them. See you next time.